Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday time of devotion and connection. Once again, I am out here on the back porch patio area, loving these palm trees, loving the sunshine that we're experiencing. In fact, I'm loving it enough that I got some yesterday while I was at Paradise Grill and Paso Grill, sharing some music with all of the folks there. It's been a beautiful weekend, and it's an honor to be with you here today. I'm grateful to be a part of your life. I want to look at part one of Fear is Learned. I know that is maybe not highly philosophical, but I want to look at what that really means, that fear is learned. And I want us to take a look at it because it pertains to this month's series on shedding and really dissolving the obsolete self. What we've said this whole year is that we're operating at a higher level of invitation through this time of awakening, asking us to not just have an intellectual approach to awakening, but to actually begin to embody it into our nervous system. It's not enough, as the fifth principle of the Unity 5 principles says, it's not enough to believe these things, to have some kind of an acknowledgement within our belief systems. We need to act on them. And so, loved ones, I want to share something with you today that I believe is powerful and I believe can be life-changing for you. It has been life-changing for me. It is literally shifting how I'm starting to do life. Once again, going through another stage of awakening in my own personal life. I'm finding that fear has been a learned behavior that I didn't realize still informed some of my reactions and even some of my responses to the world that we currently live in. Most people believe that fear is something they must overcome. We go to conferences about it. We read books about it. But if fear is something we were taught, what if the voice in your mind that whispers you're not enough, you will disappoint people, you should play it safe, you should stay small? What if that voice is not truth? What if it is even further than we've called fear? What if it's conditioning? In other words, fear is learned because you were not born afraid of rejection. You were not born afraid of disappointing God. You were not born afraid of being yourself. Fear was a learned and conditioned belief. And anything learned, please hear this from the very beginning today, anything learned can be unlearned. Anything programmed can be deprogrammed. This is the good news. If fear, the learned response to all of the things I just named, if that was taught to you or you simply caught it, because some things are taught and other things are caught, if you caught that dis-ease and dysfunction, there is a way to unlearn it and to deprogram it. Last week, we talked about shedding the old skins. We said we are pushing aside that which doesn't fit our expansion anymore. We weren't talking about self-rejection, not spiritual self-improvement, but the sacred ending of what no longer carries life. We're letting go of that which does not serve us, and this month we are dissolving the obsolete self. And today we're going to name the primary architect of the obsolete self. And you know who that is? That is fear. Fear is the primary architect of the obsolete self. Now, let me clarify something. I'm not talking about instinct. I'm not talking about wisdom. I'm not talking about healthy caution. When I'm talking about fear, that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about fear as identity. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fear as a worldview. Fear as an operating system. Most people do not need more courage. This is what I've come to find. We need to unlearn fear. We don't need more courage. We need to unlearn fear. You see, you were not born with most of the fears that you carry around inside of you. You were not born afraid of being unworthy. As a baby, you weren't concerned about whether you were worthy or you fit in with the crowd. You were not born of rejection or with the fear or afraid of being rejected. You were not born afraid of failing. Those fears, those anxieties, they were installed. They were installed through family systems, through religion, through your culture, through trauma, through surviving experiences that you had in your life. Your thinking became software. And over time, that software etched itself into the nervous system, and then something interesting happens. When it's etched into the nervous system, the program runs long enough that we start believing it is who we are. In other words, the software, when it runs on fear, starts to make the hardware operate in fear. We say things like, that is just how I am. I'm just always anxious. I've always been anxious. I just don't trust people. But even great psychiatrists and psychologists, the great, really, to me, one of my favorite teachers of human behavior is Carl Jung. And Carl Jung said something remarkable. Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So when fear is unexamined, it becomes your personality. But personality is not always your identity. In fact, the truth is that personality often is just adaptation. You adapted to your situation. And here's the distinction. Adaptation is not identity. The obsolete self is adaptation. The emerging self is essence. And that's your true identity. And so in modern neuroscience, we have it confirmed that something spiritual teachers have been saying for millennia, and they've always hinted at it, and they've been teaching about it. Your thoughts reshape your biology. Your thinking patterns literally change neural pathways, your stress chemistry, your immune response, the vagal tone, your gene expression. In other words, the programs that you can run on reshape the machine. Software rewires the hardware. Software, thinking, thoughts, feelings, emotions, rewire the hardware, which means fear does not just live in your thoughts. It eventually lives in your nervous system. And that is why fear can feel absolutely convincing. Your body is reacting to patterns it learned long ago. And yet, 2,000 years ago, even Jesus, the great wayshower, said something incredible and simple. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you or make you free. You see, truth doesn't tighten you. Truth relaxes you. So here is something that is worth noticing about what Jesus said. If what you believe about God or yourself makes your nervous system contract and restrict, it may not be truth. It actually may be inherited fear that's been programmed inside of you. That the software was installed into the software and became a part of the hardware without you even realizing it. And now this is important. The fearful version of you is not your enemy. It helped you survive. I want to give us some compassion here, because often we think we have to judge the fearful self because it's not good. No, it helped you survive. It helped you belong. It helped you belong. It helped you avoid punishment. It helped you read the room. I wrote a poem about it just recently. I'm probably going to share it with you today. It helped you to anticipate danger, to read the danger ahead of time. It was intelligent. But survival strategies have expiration dates. They're not supposed to stay with you forever. Fear does not just keep you cautious. Fear makes you play smaller. Fear narrows your vision. Fear is what is whispering to you, do not try. Don't speak. Don't shine too much. Don't soften. Don't become vulnerable. Fear says survival is the highest goal, but survival is not the highest goal. Wholeness is the highest goal. Love is, peace is, joy is, abundance is. And this is why I believe St. Paul wrote the way he did when he said, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, because fear fragments the mind. Love regulates it. Fear reacts. Love responds. The obsolete self reacts. The emerging self responds. As I've said to you before, reaction or response. Responsibility, responding, is a power word. Reaction is giving your power away. And so here's the invitation. This is the invitation through everything that I've shared with you so far today. You are not wrong for having fear. Fear helped you survive. But survival is not why you're here. You are here to live expressed, not defended, not braced, expressed, not stressed or even here to impress, but to express. And the beautiful truth is this: fear may have been learned, but it was never your actual nature. And what is learned can be unlearned. This is why, I'm convinced this is why, St. Paul said, to live is Christ, to die is gain. I believe he was depressed in the moment. To live, he probably was saying, is crisis. You remember when Jesus said to those who are around him, take up your cross and follow me? I actually believe what Jesus was talking about there was individuation. And individuation requires that we look deeply into the mirror and see our truest self. And that is what it means to live in Christ consciousness. It's what Carl Jung called individuation. It's what Paramahansa Yogananda called self-actualization and realization. This is what it means to be born again, so that you're freed from the conceptual mind that has really hampered you, has dismayed you, has caused you to live in a constant state of anxiety and fear. Small, playing it small so you don't get in any kind of trouble. You don't want to shake the boat. And so St. Paul said to live is Christ, but to die is gain. He actually believed, I believe this, he believed that it was better for him to just get up out of here. It would be easier, because to live as Christ is to take up the cross of self-actualization and personal individuation to thine own self to become true. In fact, Carl Jung, I'm trying to remember the quote, how it goes right now, but basically he says, the honor of a lifetime is to truly get to know you, to truly become the true you. The authentic, real, genuine article you. But fear will do its best to keep you from doing that. And that's an installed program that can be deprogrammed and unlearned. So this month of March, we're saying if we're moving toward this great emergence together, then a part of the process is to let go of the obsolete self, to watch the obsolete self dissolve. The one who was taught to play small, the one who was taught that your difference made you strange or meant something was wrong with you, when the whole time your difference is actually what is the real you. That is the real you. It's not strange or weird or off the wall. That is the very thing that individuates you and brings you into your uniqueness. St. Paul also said, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you can locate the good, acceptable, and the perfect will of God. So as we go through this process over the next 2 weeks, we're looking at fear and it being a learned program and how to deprogram it. We start deprogramming it by naming what it actually is and what it isn't. And what it actually is a learned behavior that causes you to shrink. Again, this is not healthy caution. Healthy caution keeps you from jumping off of a house, knowing that if I jump off of the house, I'm probably going to hurt myself. So healthy caution is good, but living in a fearful existence, even with the wars that are going on in our world right now, living in that fear, perfect love casts out fear. So we're perfecting the love so that we can unlearn the programmed fear and move into a higher level of existence. This is how we prepare ourselves for a full emergence into the highest truth of who we really are. Reprogramming the software is fantastic. What makes you an overcomer is to not just reprogram the software, but it's to directly heal the hardware so that not only the software, but the hardware are operating in alignment with your highest truth. And that ultimately is what we're here to do. So we are not getting rid of fear, but we are learning to live fearless. Fearless doesn't mean you have no fear. Fearless means to have less fear influencing your life. This is my invitation to you to really dig down deep on this and start locating the places in you where the programming of fear have been embedded into the software and lived out in the hardware. With this encouraging, hopeful statement, anything learned can be unlearned. Anything programmed can be deprogrammed. And you can be reprogrammed, and that's what it means to be born again, so that you can see the magnificent kingdom of God. We are dissolving the obsolete self, and as we do that, we're rising into this great emergence. I'm going to share with you that poem now, titled The Coat. Hi. It's early morning hours, and I have spent several days on a sabbatical this week. So it's early morning now, and I felt compelled to write this poem about my own journey and how I've come to realize that fear is not something for me to conquer. Fear is something for me to unlearn. And I was thinking about the terminology used in the Bible where it was talked about by St. Paul to put on a coat of righteousness. And as I was thinking about that reference, this poem started to flow from me. And I believe it will go along with this Sunday's message. I think it works perfectly, actually. So I wanted to share it here and now while it's fresh with me. To be plugged in for this Sunday. And so here's my poem, The Coat. I was given a coat before I knew I was cold, before I had language for stories untold. No warning, no weather report, just quiet hands at my throat, buttoning me up against drafts that would float through rooms where love sometimes hid in its coat. The air in that house shifted fast. Warmth never lingered, it rarely would last. So I learned very young what no child should learn, how to watch every door, how to wait every turn. The coat fit snug, it fit tight, lined with alertness, stitched up with fright. threaded with whispers, be careful, be small, don't shine too brightly, don't risk it at all. It softened sharp silence, it cushioned harsh tone. It taught me to brace before being alone. The coat was loyal, and the coat was wise. It helped me to read rooms and study eyes. It kept me safe through unpredictable weather, so I wore it always. We grew up together. I wore it to school. I wore it to love. I wore it in rooms far warmer than the one I came from. And I could not explain why I felt so tired, why joy felt dimmed, why desire felt wired. Wired to scan every shadow, measure each glance, mistaking protection for living by chance. One day someone asked, soft-spoken and slow, "Are you warm in that coat?" And I didn't know. Because truth be told, I was overheated, exhausted, defeated. Winter had ended, the threat had retreated, and still I stood guarded, layered, completed. So I loosened one button, nothing broke. I loosened another, still no smoke. The sky didn't darken, the floor didn't split. The world did not punish my loosening it. And when I slipped it off, I didn't curse its design. It had sheltered my heart. It had been there in my harshest time. I folded it gently, laid it down. No fire, no fury, no dramatic renown. Because the coat was not evil. It was simply old. And I am not that child in that house, in that cold. The air is steady, the light is clear. The rooms are warmer than memory's fear. Survival kept me, but survival is small. I am meant for more than bracing for fall. The coat can rest. It has done its part. It guarded my body. It guarded my heart. But it isn't winter anymore.
Loved ones, thank you so much for joining us today for our devotional service. The ways to give are on the screen right now. You can, of course, text to give. You can utilize our app. You can also go to firstunity.org/give. And on that page, you can actually decide to become an auto giver. That's really what it takes to become a sustaining partner to this ministry. If you believe in what we're doing here, I'm asking you to consider supporting the light that currently is and seeding that light for the future. We continue with our ways to give by offering our P.O. Box, our Cash App, and our QR code for you to scan on the screen. So I want to say a special thank you to everyone who has chosen this community to be a place where you want to give your financial seed. Know that when you're planting that seed, it is going into fertile soil, and you activate the law of circulation in your life. God bless you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. It begins with me. I am peace. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now, with every step I take. Let this be my joyous thought, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. Let it begin with me. It begins with me. I am peace. 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 To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun.